Hey everyone, we're live. This is Cappuccino Cunnilingus episode number 24. Except Kiefer Sutherland isn't here. But joining me this week for our monthly comic book podcast update is Rick from Famous Faces and Funnies here in Melbourne, Florida. We're going to do a bunch of quick news. It's getting late here. We had a lot of big news come out this week. A lot of people asking me, where am I getting my stuff from? I like to use Heroic Hollywood for a lot of my news information and just to see where a lot of production and casting comes from, although I do pull from other sources sometimes. First, I wanted to get started with comic book news. A lot of huge books coming out this week, a lot of anticipated titles. Specifically for me was Titans number 2.
Right.
I've been a huge fan of the Teen Titans ever since the TV show in the early 2000s, and I'm really excited to see where this new series goes now that we're back in the original DC universe with, all these characters, and it's got so much to do now with, how is the time stream going to be fixed? How are these characters going to, come back and, basically find their memories and try to put it all together again?
Right.
And I wanted to talk to you about a couple other titles that came out. I know, the big thing we have coming on is, the Watchmen were behind the New 52 universe.
Right.
And now that everything's been reset again, we're looking at, a lot of the time traveling and a lot of the universe resetting to see where these characters are going. I wanted to know if there's other titles that could possibly allude to what's happening.
I think so far the Titans has definitely been the one to watch. I'm all right there with you. I've been a lifelong Titans fan. Teen Titans has been my favorite franchise since as far back as I can remember. And I've just always been more of a fan of that group of characters, including Nightwing when he first became Nightwing, when he grew up from Robin and was too old to be Robin, but didn't kind of moved on to his own thing. So I was a big fan of that in the original Nightwing series that they had running for several years. But this Titans book's definitely off to a great start. Dan Abnett has done an amazing job on it. I like the art by Brett Booth. And they've done some great stuff. It's very accessible. You don't have to have a PhD in DC history to dive into it. Just like all the other rebirths, it's a really good book. And this is probably the one book I'm like, man, I sure wouldn't mind if this one were bi-weekly instead of monthly. Compared to some of the other ones they're putting out bi-weekly, I'm not sure there's quite a market for a bi-weekly Cyborg title. I think that might be some poor planning on their part, since that was a real tough sale in the beginning. And just the character's cool, but I like him as a supporting cast. I don't think he has room for his own book. But yeah, Titans, they've done a great job of obviously using Wally West, having him building up to it with Titans Hunt, which has been really solid. And then this whole series has just made it really great jumping on point. Even if you know nothing about Titans, this has been one of the best Rebirth books and one of our best-selling Rebirth books. And it does a great job of using the classic Titans, Dick Grayson and Donna Troy and Roy Harper, Garth, who was missing for, Garth and Donna Troy weren't really around a whole lot last few years. And then having Wally West back is the cherry on top. So, Titans has been great. If I can recommend one book, that or Flash or Batman, there's a few out of the Rebirth that are phenomenal, but Titans is definitely a great one to dive into, and we've sold crazy, 100 plus of each issue. Whereas the Titans books before this were really, they were not selling that great, to put it nicely. So yeah, it's been a while since I've really cared about the Titans, the Teen Titans or otherwise. And the Titans Hunt was by Abnett was a good thing building up to this. But yeah, this book's phenomenal. And in this issue, without saying too much about what Abracadabra that they're fighting, he kind of makes it. He kind of hints that it's him behind why Wally West was missing, but this issue kind of drops some things that are like, but he, and it's like, it makes it pretty heavily alluded to that he's talking about Dr. Manhattan being the person behind it, and I don't necessarily know if Kadabra is as if he's a minion, if he and some other characters maybe in the DC universe are working with him. But yeah, this is definitely the book to watch. That's kind of building up to that. There's also that other Dr. Oz character. I know there's a lot of speculation that's Ozymandias, which I really don't necessarily think that's the case. I know Bleeding Cool keeps going, well, everyone believes this. It's like, well, you keep saying it over and over, so you think...
if you start the hype, everybody believes the hype.
Exactly. You can only say it, 20 times and go, well, everyone's talking about it. It's like everyone's commenting on you talking about it, but I don't necessarily think Ozymandias is the one pulling the strings. It's definitely a Dr. Manhattan kind of thing. But yeah, it's interesting. I'm hoping, like I said, as they build up to DC Universe versus Watchmen or versus Dr. Manhattan, I think it's going to be a Jeff Johns written miniseries that'll be, just some big crazy story that'll have some long lasting effects. And so far the Rebirth stuff sold like crazy. The first 3 months done phenomenally well, so really happy with how it's gone. But yeah, Titans has been exceptional. Dan Abnett and Brett Booth have done a phenomenal job on it. It's one of the better Rebirth titles to dive into.
Is it up there with like Justice League or Action and Detective Comics?
Like sales wise, you mean?
Or and just bringing in an audience. Bringing in...
Oh yeah, I mean we actually, if I'm not mistaken, I might be selling Titans better than Justice League, which is saying a lot, which is crazy. But yeah, it's sure enough, it's people that love the fact that Wally West is back. And yeah, sure enough, I know the Justice League started a little later than this, but yeah, so far we've sold 130, 150 of the first issue or two of Titans, which is crazy numbers. That's double my Civil War numbers, which is insane, just showing you how well Rebirth's doing, outselling Marvel's best-selling book by far. And Justice League, well, we've sold it easily 100 and change, maybe 150 the first one. It so far hasn't quite, I don't know, it's not bad, it's just not as oh my god, what's going to happen next, as, Justice League's solid, but Titans is just phenomenal, and having Wally West there has really got a lot of eyes on the book, which is good. So definitely was a pleasant surprise that I think if more dealers were paying attention in advance, they would have ordered more Titans, knowing once they knew Wally West was gonna jump in the book. So
do you have like a top 3 that you're trying to introduce people to now that Rebirth is off to a good start?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, even the worst Rebirth books are still selling, crazy numbers. I think our worst selling book out of there, we're still selling 50 or 60 copies, which is just crazy, and right on par or right under Civil War, main title numbers, which is crazy. But I think the biggest part of their success is not just the returnability they offer retailers, which was a brave move, and it's obviously worked. I'm not returning a single first issue of any of the books. But books like New Superman and Superwoman that were selling well on, not quite Justice League or Batman numbers, but had, they not been returnable, most stores would have been like, okay, I'll order 10. Oh, I sold out of 10. Okay, maybe I could have sold 11. Okay. Whereas this way, it's like, okay, I ordered 60 or 80. Hey, I sold 45 of this. I sold 50 of this. I sold 60 of this. Wow, that's awesome. Like, we're selling a lot more, and it's DC's going to get a handful of returns back, but offering the returnability has definitely paid off, and done phenomenally well. As far as the top 3, like I said, Titans, I'm a little biased, but I love that group of characters, and it's definitely going to be a big part of the bigger build to the Dr. Manhattan thing. But yeah, that Batman and Flash, I think, are probably 3 of the best. But honestly, books like Superman, Action Comics, Detective, Justice League, books that there hasn't been a lot of eyes on for a while. Wonder Woman too, that's another one. That's the interesting one where the odd issues are one story, the even issues are a different story. It's kind of interesting. And this week's Wonder Woman had the return of a character that I love. I'm very, very big fan of, that isn't necessarily tied to Wonder Woman previously, but tied to Greg Rucka, that writer. So that's a good hint for those of you that are longtime Greg Rucka fans. But it's one of my favorite DC characters that we haven't really seen recently. So it's cool that he's bringing someone back in that book. I'm really, really excited about that. And so, but yeah, there's any Rebirth book in our store, try them, check them out. Don't like them, you got a money back guarantee on any of the first few issues. And if it's not your thing, trade out for something else, or we'll give you your cash back. But yeah, a lot of good stuff going on right now in comics, especially the Rebirth stuff.
And then over on the Marvel side, Civil War, catching some wind again.
Yeah, Civil War is doing well. The biggest thing, we're really seeing that price resistance, and Civil War at $4.99. There's a lot of people that are like, you know what? I just refuse to do another Marvel event that's going to be $5 an issue. The biggest thing they did to hurt themselves, Civil War 1 at $5.99 was 41 pages of story. Per page, not a bad value. Civil War 2 and 3 and 4, unfortunately, were $4.99, and they were only 22, 24, and 21 pages of story. 21 pages of story for $4.99 is not exactly great value. Your standard $2.99 comic is going to be 20 pages of story, so charging an extra $2, sure, you've got a great cardstock cover, but I don't think anyone wants to pay an extra $1 or $2 just for a nice cover. And it's just, we've never seen price resistance like this. And when books like Walking Dead and Saga and Paper Girls and stuff like that, which, don't get me wrong, we sell phenomenal numbers on, but your average store doesn't order as many as we do. If they can keep their line at $2.99 and small independents and small image books that sell 8,000 or 10,000 copies are, Marvel at $3.99, especially $4.99, $5.99, they're just being greedy and they're taking the money they can. But I think they're doing long-term harm to the industry. And these October relaunches that are a bunch of $3.99. I mean, the lowest books $3.99. A lot of them are $4.99, even $5.99 for number ones. That is a bad plan. And I'm starting to see Image do $5.99 number ones going, well, it sells at Marvel, and I'm like, I don't think that's the right path. I think DC doing $2.99 books is definitely, the fact we're selling 100 of a book we used to be selling 10 of, or 120 of a book we used to sell 20 of, is phenomenal. And I'd rather sell that many more copies of a book and have 100 happy people reading Titans or Flash, rather than sell more expensive books to a smaller audience. I think the diversity is the key. It's just getting new people in and giving them a bunch of awesome choices. And yeah, $4.99 books is not the way to go. So yeah, Civil War overall it's still selling well, but the two one-shots, especially the second one that was The Fallen, they did two one-shots called The Accused and The Fallen, all about the fallout of who dies in Civil War and who killed them, and like their trial, and like all about the dead character. And people did not respond. Like, absolutely, we sold a tiny amount. I'm almost embarrassed at how little we've sold of those two one-shots, because people were like, oh, another 4.9. I was like, well, it's kind of like Civil War 3.5 and 4.5, and they were like, nope, just don't care. And I'm doing the main series, no spin-offs, no tie-ins, no nothing. I don't care. So we maybe sold 25 of each of those out of the 75 we ordered or whatever, and it's like, oh my god, that's crazy. But just shows you people are just not caring about the fallout and what, all this extra stuff. And then of course Civil War is like, oh look, we're doing an 8th issue instead of just a 7 issue. Now it's 8 issue series, which has happened for the last Secret Wars and several of the last Marvel series of, oh, we're going to add on Fear itself, 7.1, 7.2, 7.3. It's like, seriously, you guys should know how long this is going to take to tell the story in the beginning. And I just think it's a bad idea, especially with Marvel relaunching in October, and as it stands, there are 2 issues of Civil War that were out in July where there are only 2 books in the top 20. Not having an issue of Civil War out in August at all. The next issue is not
Captain America didn't break the top 20?
Not even close. Like, no.
Wow.
Sales-wise, DC, it's not that Cap's doing terrible. It's that every DC is doing so high. And even with the return, when they offer returnability, Diamond accounts down for 10%. So it really means all the DC numbers you're seeing, where it said DC had 16 books, 14 books, 16 books, something like that, over 100,000 sales. And then they had 3 or 4 more books that were like 99.3 thousand copies of this, so it was like just shy of it. They had almost 20 books that were, they had over 20 books that were 90,000 sales or higher, which there were months, 4 or 5 months ago, there were only 3 or 4 books that sold over 100,000 copies. So this is great news for the industry. And really, when it says 100,000 sold, if Diamond's taking 10% off based on what the former batch of returns have been, and they're, especially on a number 1, they're not going to get back 10% returns. They might get back 1 or 2%, if that. So books saying that they sold 100,000 really sold 110,000. Books saying they sold 300,000 actually sold 330,000 or whatever, which is crazy. But I know, like, next month we expect Harley Quinn number 1. I'm pretty sure there was something in like a Loot Crate or one of the other collector core type subscription boxes that was 100,000 copies plus all the dealer variants. But Harley Quinn did 300,000 plus copies of that, which is insane. So next month, same thing. DC will have 18 or 20. 18 of the top 20 this month means they might have all 20 out of 20 next month, which is unheard of.
Insane.
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, people thought the Rebirth thing would work well, but we're 4 months in now.
It's going way well.
Oh, incredibly, yeah. So it's as a retailer who bet big on this, and don't get me wrong, we'll return some 2s and 3s and 4s, but for the most part, I'm like, man, I wish I could get more of this. I wish I had more Flash ones. I wish I had more Wonder Woman ones. I wish I had, even the second prints are gone, even the third prints are gone on some of them, and I'm like, DC go back to press again, because if I can get more number ones, any printing, I can return less 2s, 3s, and 4s. But if people can't dive in at issue 1, they're not going to want to, hey, buy 2 and 3 and 4 of this without buying the first issue.
Or you'd have to wait for the trade.
Right, exactly. Which the trades aren't that far out, but at the same time, long term, getting people in the habit of buying $2.99 books in our store is what we want, and it's worked. And yeah, like I said, DC's gone above and beyond. The advertising they've done through commercials and just putting an advertisement in the middle of the MegaCon booklet, literally as the center page, going, "Hey, DC Rebirth, check this one, changes everything." It's great, and it got people I've never seen come up to me and go, "Hey, do you have this book? Do you have this book?" I was like, "Man, we could have sold hundreds of copies here." So yeah, it's nuts. They've done their job on getting new people in. So hats off to them on all that.
And you even said, like, Walking Dead being able to hold that price point and being able to sell as well too.
Oh yeah.
And even if they're like in the middle of an arc where it's just a little bit of filler with a little bit of story, like 50-50, being able to hold that is saying a lot. Right,
exactly. I mean, that's the thing is, obviously Walking Dead is a long term. It's not going anywhere. It's a giant hit, and definitely will be around for the long haul, and those single issues and trades sell crazy numbers. But yeah, so many Image books that are coming out are still hitting $2.99, even if we're only selling a handful. So it really makes you wonder, like, why is $4.99 becoming like the norm? It's just a bad idea. Meanwhile, I'd rather sell 100 at $2.99, 100 of this book, and then 2 weeks later sell 100 of this book again at $2.99, rather than a bunch of $4.99 books that I'm just afraid that like I said, it's going to scare people away. There's people going, nope, refuse. I don't care what it is. Oh, the last issue of a 7-issue miniseries is $4.99. Nope, don't care how it ends. I'm not paying that extra $1 or $2 per book. I just refuse to do it. I'm like, wow, I've just never seen price resistance this high before, and it's never been this this prominent. So it's kind of interesting going forward, seeing what happens.
That being said, do you see anybody not necessarily like jumping ship, but like moving over and taking a look at DC as opposed to being diehard Marvel?
Oh, that's every day. There's people that used to be the most hardcore Marvel fans. Even some friends of ours that are like literally grew up off nothing but X-Men, these days are like, oh my god, how was there all this Batman stuff I was missing out on? Like X-Men, I can name maybe 4 or 5 must-read stories. Superman, maybe 3 or 4 must-read stories. Batman, I can name 25 or 30 must-read stories, and they're constantly adding good new stuff. I mean, there's all this great stuff like No Man's Land and Officer Down and stuff like that. That's phenomenal. That's kind of under the radar compared to the giant books like Killing Joke and Hush. But yeah, I think DC is really adding a lot to it. The other thing that's kind of funny we've really noticed is Marvel sells really well in issues, or at least what they sell well in issues. Whereas like trade paperbacks, we were looking over it, we were like, oh my god, we sold 175 copies of Batman, Court of Owls, which is insane. Meanwhile, if you add up every X-Men book that's come out the last 5 years since then, since Court of Owls came out, all combined, I've sold probably less than 175 X-Men trades. And that's with Uncanny X-Men being relaunched 3 times in the last 5 years, getting to issue 12 or 15 or 20 and starting all over. So yeah, it's trade paperbacks. DC's building a long-term list of bestsellers, whereas Marvel's just putting everything at trade, and honestly the market's just not there. I'm like, oh my god, hey, what are we selling this Avengers book? And it's like, oh wow, we sold 1 volume 1 and 0 number 2s. Crap, if no one's buying it, I'm not even going to order a number 3 anymore. So especially since some of the things are, oh, it's $20 for only 4 issues of content or 5 issues of content. I'm like, ouch, that's just way overpriced. So.
Yeah. With that being said, let's switch over to DC TV. They seem to be not only hitting it well with the comics, but moving up in TV. This year, everything on TV. They're doing Mad Hatter and the Court of Owls over on Gotham.
Oh yeah.
This year on Arrow, we're getting a whole vigilante, escapades.
Right. Yeah. It's gonna be wild.
The whole universe being set around Flashpoint, it brings the question of what kind of character development are they going to bring to these vigilantes in the city. True. One of them being the Human Target.
Right.
I don't know much about this character. He's, to me, if I had to take it at face value, I would say he's a wanted man and just out there trying to get real real stuff taken care of.
Human Target's a character, and I like the show. I think ran 2 seasons before, and it was pretty solid. And the funny, I think they had either a TV movie or something way back in like 1990 or 93 or something on like ABC, like way back. It was one of the really obscure things. It was like, wait, you have all these things you can put on TV. You put Human Target on there, yeah. But yeah, the series a few years ago, about 5 years ago, was a great series. The basic gimmick is that he pretends to be someone else. So, oh, hey, here's this person that's, oh, hey, we kidnapped your daughter. If you show up, if the cops show up, if anyone but you shows up with the ransom, we'll shoot her dead, and or we'll get in the helicopter and fly off before you ever get a chance to give us the ransom money. So effectively, this guy pretends to be someone else through, incredibly complicated makeup or masks or whatever. Of course, crazy levels of technology where it's like, you can make anyone look like anyone else. But yeah, it was just an interesting premise that's gone back, I think, as far as like the 70s from DC. And yeah, it's a cool character. It'll be an interesting mix where I think in the Arrow thing, I think he's going to impersonate Oliver Queen. So it'll be funny seeing someone else pretending to be him when it obviously will be the regular actor playing him. But
kind of like on Flash with Tom Cavanaugh pretending to be
right.
A character who is actually another character.
Right, exactly. So yeah, so it'll be wild, but I think that's the gimmick is Oliver Queen is someone, says they're going to hurt him, and so someone else hires him, not realizing, oh, hey, this guy can actually protect himself, So it's interesting. I just think he'll add some more diversity to an already wild, giant cast of that keeps growing for this next season of Arrow. So should be good. But yeah, that's a welcome addition, and yeah, I'm excited to see how that all plays out on Arrow.
And also on Arrow, they said that they were going to limit pretty much down to zero the amount of magic this season.
Right.
Which, after everything that happened last season with Damien Dark and just, having to keep people interested with, bringing Constantine and having to explain, this character taught Oliver this,
Yeah.
It's a lot of side story that could have been put more towards the main plot.
I agree.
I feel like.
Yeah, I didn't quite dislike Arrow Season 4 as much as a lot of others, but I just, a few minutes ago, just had a customer in here saying how much they hated it. They're like, I'll give it a few episodes, but if it doesn't get better, I'm kind of done with Arrow. So I understand. It's it is hard to keep it interesting and different enough every season. But yeah, I'm certainly willing to. I'm the kind of guy. I don't think I've watched a whole lot of TV that I was like, nope, I just give up here and stop. Once I'm in for the long haul. But yeah, Arrow is definitely not quite as overall solid as Flash has been or some of the other shows. But yeah, it's still, this is still 5-10 years ago I would have been floored just to have a half decent version of any of these shows. But yeah, it's the incredible amount of fantastic superhero movies and TV we're getting. It means like people are being overly critical sometimes of, oh, this was okay, but it wasn't a 10 out of 10. It was only a 8 out of 10. That's not good enough, So, but yeah, Arrow Season 4 I thought was solid. It wasn't as terrible. I didn't dislike it as much as many did. But yeah, I understand getting away from magic. That's something more for some of the other shows, I think.
Mm-hmm. And this season, with Supergirl being added to the CW lineup, they had pictures released of Linda Carter as the president,
right.
With Kara Danvers, I think, or I don't know if she was Supergirl in the picture or Kara Danvers, I forget.
Right. Yeah.
But having an iconic DC woman come in and not necessarily reprise her role, but like take a bigger role in the DC universe now.
Right.
Definitely paying homage to her, her past accomplishments. I think it says a lot about this group that has created this universe on the CW.
Right.
They respect what came before and really want to put out really good content for everybody and introduce people to something that they might not have even thought existed.
Right.
Having a Wonder Woman TV show back in the 70s, who would have thought about that?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
But bringing her in, I think, is a good move. There was somebody else that they were bringing in for this season on Supergirl. I forget who. If it comes to me, I'll say it. But
right.
I couldn't remember it. But I'm really excited to see where this season goes. It's going to be a lot of a lot of interesting stuff because I think they're still keeping her in like Earth 4 or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
So
I think it's cool. I do. That is one. I'm right there with you. I think that's one of the best things about DC TV is that they pay homage to what's come before and find a way to work in all these other actors. Like, just almost every show has done. Hey, look, we're instead of just getting some random people for Supergirl's parents, we're going to get people that are heavily, tied to the mythos from the movies and TV from previously. So I love that. I love that they're able to do that. Yeah, having Linda Carter playing the president, I think is awesome move. And yeah, just hats off to DC for doing that instead of just going, hey, we'll just get some random actor or actress. Getting somebody that's so heavily tied to DC in the long haul is just a pretty awesome get. So I was pretty excited to hear about that.
Mm-hmm. And there was one more. Oh yeah, Gotham. I forgot.
Right.
Mad Hatter. We had just this week. We know that Mad Hatter's coming to Gotham with the Court of Owls. Just this week, we heard casting news that we're going to be getting Alice,
Right.
along with possibly Talon and Solomon Grundy.
Cool. Very good.
Which, Solomon Grundy being a really big character in DC Universe, setting him up in this way, possibly opening up the door for him to show up somewhere else later down the line.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I really like that idea.
Very cool. Yeah, I know the actor they got for Mad Hatter, he did an awesome job on Walking Dead. He was great as like the main wolf. I don't know if they ever really said his name in there, but yeah, it was cool to see him. He did a great job there, so I think he's a good. Definitely got the look. He did a phenomenal job in Walking Dead, just being that like creepy guy who kind of maybe possibly redeemed himself towards the end, but yeah. So I'm excited to see Mad Hatter and see this next season of Gotham. Like I said, Gotham is just one of the I think season 2 infinitely improved on season 1. It is probably the best season 1 to season 2 jump. Most shows go start strong and kind of wander off, and Gotham I think was season 1. It had some flaws, and they definitely took made the right response and basically fixed it. And season 2 I thought was infinitely better than the first season. So yeah, I'm excited to see if season 3 is half as good as season 2. It might be my favorite thing on TV, period. As much as I enjoy all the other shows, Gotham was just one of those like, oh my god, what's going to happen next? Every week had that like just holy shit moment, and they've done a great job with it. So
yeah. And over at Marvel, they've ever since Comic-Con, it's just been news break after news break every week with Marvel TV and movies. We got confirmation that we are getting Ghost Rider on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and with their time slot moving back to 10 o'clock, darker, grittier, more sexualized maybe, I don't know, with Quake and whatever they got going on. But I'm really excited. I never thought I'd see Ghost Rider being played by anybody other than Nicolas Cage in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad that they're going this route, especially with Robbie Reyes.
Right.
He's a really fun character to play with.
Yeah.
But their interactions with S.H.I.E.L.D. and with Inhumans, I think, are going to pick up. And definitely with a new director, I feel like we might be seing some ties in with the Sokovia Accords from Civil War.
Yeah,
maybe like an appearance from Maria Hill.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, cool.
Even possibly if they could figure it out, maybe like Robert Downey Jr. could come in for like 30 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing is I think a lot of people, they kind of gave up on S.H.I.E.L.D. unfairly when season 1 wasn't just, it's a weekly adventure show. It's like, yeah, we can't quite do that. We can't quite have this cast and pull that off and, not just, make that magically happen. So, yeah, S.H.I.E.L.D. show I've enjoyed overall. I've liked it a lot. I really was a little worried when they introduced the Inhumans these last few seasons because I've just never been that big of a fan. Obviously, there's a lot of politics behind the scenes about, like, they can't use the mutants because of the deal with
and that might be changing soon with with what's it called
Fox,
on the Fox TV show,
right? Yeah,
because they say mutants
or whatever, right? Yeah.
Legion,
right, that's right.
They say mutants like in the trailer, and I'm just like, unless Marvel Studios is getting like somebody to pay for that or something like that. I don't know how that's going to work.
Yeah, it sounds like Marvel and Fox are trying to work it out. Obviously, the thing with Spider-Man has worked out very well for everyone. So that should be interesting. So yeah, hopefully, and that was the other definite one of the biggest surprises I thought for me at Comic-Con was, when Marvel's like, hey, at the end of our Marvel panel, here's this trailer for something new, and it's this X-Men Legion show, and you're like, wait a minute, what? You're like, wait, Marvel just premiered something that's on Fox? What the, like, wait a minute, we thought you guys hated each other. So it shows they're starting to make nice and realize, hey, we can do this right. We can, instead of having it where, oh, look, we have to take everything away from mutants and just try and build up this Inhumans thing, which the comics still okay, but they're definitely not selling the numbers Marvel was looking for. They were expecting it to just clean house and become their new X-Men, and it's not quite there. So
yeah, and I was going to say something. With also at the end of that panel, they had let's just jump right into Comic-Con news, because I know we didn't get to touch on it because last time it was before.
Right.
They had announced our Captain Marvel is going to be Brie Larson.
Very, very cool.
She's been reading up on her material.
Right.
I'm really excited to see where she goes. I think she wasn't on the top of my list, but I'm happy nonetheless that she's getting it. And
I think she'll do a great job. I've always been a fan of her, so I think she'll be pretty solid in that role. It's going to be good.
We also had... Why am I blanking? Because I have Captain Marvel sitting right in front of me. What else did we have from Marvel? Doctor Strange and Thor Ragnarok. It looks like we have pictures showing up that Thor and Loki are going to the Sanctum Sanctorum.
Right, yeah. Should be interesting. I think it's awesome. That's definitely the biggest strength Marvel has is just the interconnectivity of their movies is so cool, and just the fact that obviously everything gets leaked, but yeah, having it where the characters from one movie can interact with characters from another movie is phenomenal, and I think it's one of the best things they can build up to for the Infinity War movie or Infinity Gauntlet storyline. So yeah, I'm excited to see where all that goes. But yeah, that should be good having Thor and Loki and Doctor Strange, or having them interact one way or another. I think is awesome. So it's really exciting to see where that goes.
And a lot of people are saying that with Doctor Strange, since he can essentially transport different dimensions and open up rifts in space-time continuum, being able to interact with these two could possibly send them off to Planet Hulk.
Right,
and
exactly.
Find the Hulk and have that whole thing happen.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'm really looking forward to just seeing where Marvel goes next, and as they kind of build up. Obviously, they've got a big long-term plan, and obviously it's worked for them really, really well. So it'll be interesting to see how they put all those characters together, and where it goes from there.
And the other big news from Comic-Con we had was the reveal of Star-Lord's father.
Right.
Which I don't know how well... I don't know the source material for Guardians that well, but it's been revealed that Ego the Living Planet is going to be Star-Lord's dad.
Right.
Played by Kurt Russell.
Super weird. Yeah,
super weird, but
kind of strange, but we'll see.
I've seen a couple people say that he's been known to transform into a human form, quote unquote, but having that kind of character play that role, I feel like is a big jump that not a lot of people are gonna follow through with, and might just turn off that side of it.
Right.
But as a fan of the first Guardians movie and wanting to see new characters like Mantis, new characters like Ego,
right?
I think this is going to be a step in the right direction and push them towards coming towards our section of the Marvel universe, as opposed to being off in nowhere.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. Having such a great actor jump into the mix. The Marvel universe should be good, but yeah, we'll see. I don't think it's going to be like, oh wow, the heart of the character. I don't think they're changing anything earth shattering where it's, oh no, that totally takes away from everything they've ever done with the comic version. It's Star-Lord up until the last years and before the movie, of course, Star-Lord was a fairly obscure character for the longest time. It wasn't until the 2008 Guardians of the Galaxy series that Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning just knocked out of the park. They did an awesome job with like Marvel Annihilation. For a few years, Marvel Cosmic was like the best thing coming out of there. It was better than the X-Books, Spider-Books, Avengers, anything. And unfortunately, I wish that stuff were in print, but they mostly left it out of print, which is killing me because it's some of the best stuff they put out in decades. But those creators just did a great job and fleshing out those characters and building up to the Guardians that we know, from so well from the movie. So it'll be interesting to see where they go with this next film. But yeah, I'm really excited about it. Should be pretty solid.
And then jumping over to Walking Dead, we haven't had much news about it come out, but
right.
Fear started back up this week. I haven't seen the episode yet.
Right.
Did you want to say anything about it?
I didn't have a chance to see it either. Yeah, we were doing trivia, and it kind of went. There's something going on in there was like an event going on in the back room where we normally are, so we weren't able to watch Fear the Walking Dead there this week, and I just haven't had a chance the last few days. But I know this week's episode definitely focused on Nick, young Johnny Depp, basically. The drug addict. So this week's episode, a lot of people thought was interesting, and the customers I've talked to so far thought it was good. But it's going to be wild to see where the rest of the season goes. I've enjoyed the show. I'm not like move over Walking Dead, but overall it's I know some people are unfairly judging it, going, oh well, there's no Daryl and there's no Rick. It's like, yeah, well, if you don't give it a chance, they're not gonna not everything is gonna catch your attention in 2 episodes. But yeah, I've enjoyed it so far. I'm curious to see where it goes, and I know. It sounds like there's some interesting stuff going on. The fact that they can Kirkman, I have faith in him. He hasn't done a bad issue of Walking Dead out of 157 issues. It's all been phenomenal, and there's a lot of cool stuff coming up in the comics. And yeah, same thing. I'm really excited about seeing the rest of the season, and then of course it leads right into the main Walking Dead season 7, which everyone's on the edge of their seat to kind of see where that goes. I mean, as much as everyone was pissed at the finale, you better believe this episode will have the highest ratings they've ever had. Because anyone going, oh well, I expected no one to ruin it for me for 2 weeks. It's like, good luck with that. You better be paying attention the minute that comes back in October. So. And
did you feel like Preacher was a good holdover for the Fear break?
Yeah, I thought Preacher was great. They did an excellent job with it. They obviously switched a few things out from the comic. Preacher's one of my favorite comics of all time. But yeah, the series overall I was incredibly happy with, and left that at like, oh my god, what's going to happen next? So, but yeah, so far Preacher's been excellent. The cast couldn't have asked for a better cast, literally. Then they got everybody in there did a phenomenal job, and all the changes worked. One of the best adaptations of one of my favorite books of all time. So I was, some people were a little scared initially of Seth Rogen. They're like, what is the whole thing going to be like a pot comedy? It's like, no, it's it's just he clearly is a big lifelong comic fan, and it just like James Gunn and Guardians of the Galaxy, it shows how much he loves these characters and how much these characters mean to him. Mm-hmm. And man, I'm just so glad it's brought out to a whole audience. And just like anything else that what we've seen over the last 10 years, 5-10 years especially, is the less people that know it's a comic book before they see it, the better we do with it. Like a new Avengers movie or Spider-Man movie barely moved the needle on sales and those in our store because everyone already knows where those come from. Mm-hmm. But a show like Walking Dead debuts, and it gets, literally we sold more Walking Dead, because of that than probably all the movies combined, because of how big of a hit that show is. And things like Preacher, it just brings in people that went, wait, there's a comic of this? Oh my god, I want to know more. I don't want to wait till, almost a year from now to see what the hell happens next. So, yeah, but Preacher's done a great job, and they've done a just incredible job, left it at a pretty exciting place, and changed out 1 or 2 things from the comics. But yeah, for the most part, it's definitely going to be, if season 2 is half as good as season 1, and from what I gather where it's going to go, I think it's going to just get better and better and really build to this incredible hit series for AMC. So yeah, they did a great job with it.
Now, I know it's a little bit out of left field, and we can wrap it up probably like 45 minutes. I don't think we have that much left to talk about. I wanted to know, I know it's set in like a space kind of setting and futuristic a little bit. Did you watch the original Buckaroo Banzai movie?
I did way back. I haven't seen the movie in 20-something years, but yeah. I enjoyed it. It was pretty entertaining. Yeah.
With Kevin Smith announcing him picking it up with Amazon Studios and trying to get it out there and see, with at least with a pilot, where it can go. Do you think that'd be something that a lot of people would consider revisiting and checking out?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's definitely still a fan base. I mean, we don't see a whole lot of merchandise or whatever for it. But as far as Buckaroo Banzai, it's still one of the most well loved movies, just cult classic films way before its time. So yeah, people definitely enjoyed it quite a bit, and every once in a while I've done a few Buckaroo Banzai comics. We've done well with them. Every once in a while we'll get some random merchandise or shirt or something, and there's people who go, oh my god, I'm so excited to see this, it's one of my favorite movies ever. So yeah, it's definitely one of those things. There's still a built-in fan base, and it'll bring in a whole new generation of fans to it. So I think overall, there's definitely a market for it. And
since I'm on Kevin Smith right now, because he's one of my favorite directors of all time.
Oh yeah.
Yoga Hosers hitting the theaters end of this month. I think it's next Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yoga Hosers hits theaters, and one-day event. Definitely go out and check it out. I got to see it at an early screening in June, July, something like that, and I loved it. It's an 80s horror flick, but meant for teenagers.
Right. Interesting.
And I feel like it could easily play to an adult audience. At least did in that room.
Right.
But when you're a Kevin Smith fan, you're pretty much like his work no matter what.
Right.
Even if it's Clerks or if it's Tusk, you're most likely gonna like it no matter what.
Yeah.
But it's fairly good written movie, and the quality of actors that are in it and how well they do the content, definitely worth it to check out.
Very good. Yeah, I'll always watch anything by Kevin Smith. I'm not the biggest fan of how much he's overcommitted himself sometimes with the comic books and been like, hey, we're going to do this next, we're going to do this, and just, he wants it out and do half a story and leave it for a few years in between. but yeah, for the most part, yeah, I always love his movies. I actually just saw the Holidays movie and had no idea that there was a short by him in there. It was based on a Halloween thing that starred his daughter, and I was like, wait a minute, that's Kevin Smith's daughter, Harley Quinn Smith. So, but yeah, it was pretty wild. That was entertaining. But yeah, I'm always happy to see new stuff by him, so I'm excited to see Yoga Hosers. Should be pretty entertaining.
And you mentioned about his comic book run. Since DC went to the New 52, his was the only book open left in this universe that they had revamped.
Right. Yeah.
Now that they're back in that universe, his story is canon again.
Right.
So he can introduce onomatopoeia into this larger spectrum of what's going on.
Yeah, true. I hope so. I'd love to see him come back and do more comics. I've always liked the comics he's done. It's just that he kind of overcommits, I think, and that's one of the things. Marvel's a little more, hey, we'll take whatever we can get whenever you put it out. And don't get me wrong, Daredevil by Kevin Smith is probably my favorite Daredevil story of all time. I would kill to see a season 3 or season 4 of Daredevil go off the Guardian Devil storyline. That story, and especially issue 7. I won't say too much about it and ruin anything, but yeah, issue 7 is probably one of my favorite single issues I've read in my life. Probably one of the top 20 single issues I've ever read. And even though it is part 7 of an 8-part story, it's just this phenomenal breakdown of this villain and where he's at and what happens, and it's just this crazy story. So really enjoyed the hell out of it, and I'd love to see Kevin Smith do more comics. I just want to make sure he doesn't leave us 3 years in between issue 3 and 4.
Yeah,
that would be bad, because he did that with the Black Cat thing, which was a good story, but 3 years in between issues is a little much in the middle of a storyline. So kind of crazy. So.
And I guess to round it out, huge Star Wars news came out today.
Right.
In addition to having our young Han Solo cast this year, we have confirmation that young Lando Calrissian has been cast.
That is awesome. Yeah.
And it is going to be Donald Glover.
I am super excited to hear that. Yeah, he's always phenomenal in everything. Love him in Community. Love him in everything he's done. Love his Childish Gambino stuff. It's phenomenal. So yeah, I'm really excited to hear him cast. That is definitely probably the best news I've heard in ages, and just definitely going to be exciting.
Especially with him showing up in Spider-Man: Homecoming. it says a lot for, everybody at Marvel to give him the chance to be in a Spider-Man movie, even if he's not Miles Morales.
Right, exactly. But yeah, I mean, honestly, it sounds like he was, it kind of inspired Miles and some other stuff. So yeah, it's definitely cool to see where that goes. But yeah, I'm all about anything I can see Donald Glover in. I'm always happy to he always does a great job with it. So yeah, he's going to be phenomenal as young Lando. It's awesome.
And close it out. The Russo brothers, in the Marvel movies that they've done, they've been doing Community character cameos, from people in Community, bringing them in for the movie.
Yeah.
The Heroic Hollywood ran a story earlier this week, and it made me a little mad when they a writer pretentiously says something without trying to talk to a person, even reaching out with a tweet being like, hey, would you be interested in doing this?
Right.
The writer said in their article, well, because of so-and-so and Yvette Nicole Brown not wanting to do acting anymore, they wouldn't want to show up as a cameo in Infinity War.
Right.
Immediately, I just hop on Twitter, I tweet her, and I'm just like, hey, would you be interested in making a cameo in Avengers Infinity War?
Right.
And I did little stupid hashtags with it that I know would get her attention.
Right.
She tweets me back and says,
that's awesome.
Yeah, of course I would.
Right.
And I'm just like, I want to send this to that person.
Right,
just
exactly.
Be
right.
Follow through with yourself.
Yeah.
Because people, no matter who it is, if you worked with a good director, a good producer, just in general, you want to work with that person again.
Yeah.
And with her commitment to how much she loves Walking Dead, how much.
Oh, of course. Yeah, she's the super fan of it. Yeah,
oh God.
Crazy. Right.
With how well she interacts with Chris Hardwick on Talking Dead, with how much energy she's put into the community.
Right.
I think she would make a good little side cameo character, even if it was just her sipping tea at a cafe or something.
Right, it would still be a nice little thing for the long-term fans of, and especially for Community. Yeah, it'd be awesome. So very, very cool.
But other than that, I don't think there was much other news.
What do you think of Zendaya as Mary Jane? Obviously, the internet's in a frenzy.
I was hoping you wouldn't say that.
Right, you're not a big fan.
I mean, I appreciate. All right, I'll start with this. So far, Marvel has not done a bad diversity cast.
Right.
I fully support, Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One. I feel like knowledge and wisdom of that magnitude, if anybody can reach Shangri-La, they should be able to eventually become the Ancient One if, they complete all of the tasks and complete all the training and whatnot.
Right.
I think anybody that, ascended that mountain, figured it out, could easily become the Ancient One. As that character, I think having a woman in that position, sure, why not?
Right.
Would I have preferred an Asian man? Of course.
Right.
I think staying with your source material, having a basis from your source material saying this is why we did this, obviously you can't cast Luke Cage as a white guy.
Right.
That would just be shitting on an entire franchise.
Yeah, I understand.
But, so far they haven't done anything bad. When they said her character is Michelle, I immediately thought, all right, Ultimate Spider-Man. I remember there being a side character called Michelle. She might have been an episode or two, just sitting in Peter's class.
Sure.
They could have easily taken any side character they wanted, put her in her own role, and said, all right, make this your own. You're going to be playing a protagonist to help Peter in school or whatever.
Right.
They didn't have... And this is all rumors, by the way. Marvel hasn't come out and said anything. The directors of Spider-Man Homecoming haven't come out and said anything.
Right.
This is all from one news source that is going off of...
Oh, it's Spider-Man's girlfriend, therefore it's Mary Jane, right?
It's not even that, but just they're saying that that somebody at Marvel is hiding the casting and saying that this is Mary Jane, not quote-unquote Michelle. if she's a good actress, sure, why not? But at least have basis for the source material.
Right.
For doing something like this. You know, like I said before, I don't know the source material for Ego that well, for him to be in human form,
right.
to, you know, have a child. But if it's there, sure, why not? I'll take it.
Yeah.
You know, having the source material for, you know, Jessica Jones and Luke Cage to be, you know, banging it out in a seedy apartment.
Right.
I'm sure that there's something somewhere of one of those two characters doing something like that.
Literally, issue 1 of Alias is them, going at it.
Yeah.
That's right.
There's your source material.
Right.
I like it when we see our source material being stuck to.
Right.
If you want to, after Thor Ragnarok, to make Thor a woman and say that it's Jane Foster and recast Jane Foster,
right.
Sure, why not? You have the source material for
right.
it. It's not about, for I would say a majority of the community.
Right.
I would say it's not about racism. I would say it's about taking your source material, sticking to it, and then once you have the basis down, expand it. Expand the universe as much as you want. I don't think she's a bad casting.
Right.
I like what they can do with her.
Right.
She wasn't necessarily who I would have picked for Mary Jane.
Yeah.
I think there's 100 redheads in Hollywood that
exactly.
could walk up and call Tom Holland Tiger and make him twirl up a mountain.
Right.
But you know, it's not about trying to appeal to, you know, this sector, or not trying to fill this quota in your casting. They have a bunch of really good people in their casting from all walks of life.
Right.
I think they could have easily said she can be a main protagonist, have them create her own character,
right,
and it would have been just as good.
Gotcha. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see where it goes. I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying. I wonder if it's maybe they originally had her, you know, playing Michelle or whatever, and just said, oh, hey, we actually think this casting seems to have worked, and everyone's fitting together long term. Unlike, you know, hey, look, let's relaunch this. Oh, 2 movies later, okay, let's relaunch this again. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe they just felt like as it got closer, like, hey, seems like it's going to work. Let's make sure we go with the character that most people know Spider-Man being with, and that's Mary Jane. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Especially with John Francis Daley being a writer for the movie,
right?
Knowing him, he likes the 60s Spider-Man. He likes original Ditko Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You know, he was one of, I would say he was one of the people that was pushing for, you know, that more of that focus on this kind of show or this kind of movie. I would argue that, you know, if he had his choice, he would be okay with it. I mean, Stan Lee has come out and said, yeah, I'd be cool with it.
Right.
But I feel like if you're going to stick to that source material, you can do an entire series of Peter Parker in high school. But I think, you know, your post-credit scene has to be Mary Jane showing up at the front door. It has to be that panel of, face it, Tiger, you just hit the jackpot. That has to be your post-credit scene.
Right.
That can't be a mid-movie thing that just happens.
Right.
You know, that's an iconic piece of comic book literature.
Of course. Right.
You know, you have to save that for the right moment.
Sure.
And I feel like Tom Holland can definitely play the opposite of that. I just don't know if I've seen the right person to be Mary Jane yet. I don't think I've seen that person.
Right.
So.
Understood. Cool. Sounds good.
See, I've been dreading that conversation for since I was started. Like I had to explain to somebody the other day, like just that entire thing. Just be like, it's not about this.
No, but I mean, you at least
this.
have logic behind it rather than I mean, I get what you're saying.
Sure, I'm mad. Brr.
Exactly right. The typical internet response. So I agree. I can see where you're coming from. So it's not you're not just like, no, I don't like this, but I have nothing to back it up. I just don't like. It's all good. So
cool. And like and that goes for like a whole bunch of stuff, like Walking Dead source material. You know, Daryl was never around, so having all his interactions in the show doesn't make the whole comic book moot. It just makes it more interesting.
Granted, there are some people mad that it seems like coming up without saying too much, that some of the Daryl stuff that's coming up was definitely from a different character in the comics, and a lot of people are mad that character's not getting their chance to kind of shine, and Daryl takes
Who says that character won't get their moments? You know,
I think they'll have their moments, but I think we'll see.
He's on the chopping block. He's in that lineup.
We'll see what happens, but
that's probably gonna be the biggest thing this year. Like even bigger than like the frickin' Bastard versus Bastard in Game of Thrones. I think this year's biggest moment in TV is gonna be, who does Negan kill?
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's even though everyone was mad when it ended, and what do you mean you're going to leave us with cliffhanger? Of course, they got what they wanted, which is 6 months of people talking about it rather than a week of people talking about it.
And coming back to a $25 million viewers.
Right, exactly. They'll destroy any records, because anyone going, well, I can't believe it got ruined for me because I don't have a chance to make plans to watch it. You can come find it, I swear. Yeah, if you wait too long, it's going to be ruined. So. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. But
all right, I think that's a good place to cut it.
Cool.
That was episode 24 for everybody. If you live in the Central Florida area and want to check out an awesome comic book store, Famous Faces and Funnies here in Melbourne, Florida, is your place for comics, toys, action figures, you name it, it's probably here.
Cool.
So. Have a good night, everybody.
All right, thanks.